What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Still a nation. What's good? What's good? Let me make sure the microphone is turned up. Nope. Boy, I tell you. There we go. Get it turned up where it needs to be. There we go. Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check, check, check. Mic check, mic check. What's happening, folks? How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is well. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, SimFBallCritic, Sim, whatever you call me. What's happening? Hope you guys are ready for another great episode. And hey, you know, coming off the bye week, not a whole lot to talk about. Let me put the phone number back up on the screen. And by the way, I'm always transparent with you guys. I keep forgetting to change that overlay there. I need to take that terrible towel off because it just doesn't look right anymore. But, and you know, actually, let me just read the number, 619-924-0818. So when we're ready for phone calls, 619-924-0818. I'll bring that back in a moment. And yeah, what's happening? What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? How y'all doing? How you feeling? The Steelers being number one in the AFC North was a short stint. We're going to get into it. Let's say hello to the early commenters, and then we'll dive right into the little topics that I have. And then after that, phone queue is open because last week, Blog Talk Radio decided not to work for us. Now it is working. So definitely, if you want to call and you have something to say, have something to get off your chest, make sure you dial that number in just a moment. So hello to Mike Garman, fishing over everything. Okay. Interesting name. I ain't mad at that. Got a fisherman in the building. Brent Fox, 412, born and raised. Hello, Lanisha. Lanisha's in the building. Hello, Destiny. Destiny is in the building. Y'all know you got to take care of the ladies. Make sure you say hello. Treat them with care. Hello, ladies. Good to see you like always. Who else we got up in here? No, 412. My man, Still City Film Room in the building. Mark Cunningham. My good buddy Wyatt Diggy's in the building as well. Who else? Dietrich Bundick, Vista Light, Joshua Shields. Who else? I think I saw Dietrich, or am I tripping? Maybe I didn't. I swear I saw that name, but in case I didn't, he'll probably be in a little bit later. And Charlie Brown, LeCobe Kelly. Is it LeCobe or LeCobe? Want to make sure I pronounce the name correctly. Let's see. Wes H. Sticking with mediocrity. Don't worry, I'm getting to it. Sade. Hello, Sade. What's going on, Sade? Make sure, again, fellas, y'all say hello to the ladies, man. Don't make me ask twice now. Gavin is in the building. Who else? Steeler cards. Justin Mayorga. He says Kobe, like Kobe Bryant. Okay, LeCobe. All right, that's dope. That's dope. That's different. I don't think I've ever seen that name. So salute LeCobe. Different name right there, man. Always I'm interested in, you know, unique names. So shout outs to LeCobe. Appreciate you coming through. I don't think I've seen your name before, man. So thank you for coming by. Did I say Claude Bishop? My man Relfax, Ron 92, and we'll start right about there. Bettsburg in the building as well. All right, man, let me get into my little bitty topics, and then I'm opening it up to the phone queue because I really want to get active in the phones because the phones was not working for us last week. But where am I going to start? I listened to Mike Tomlin's press conference today. You know, not a whole lot you can really take from Tomlin's press conference. Generally, he's going to give you the surface level things, as do most coaches. I'm going to be honest. I don't understand why us as a fan base assume we're going to get more than we get from a press conference. I mean, there's no coach in the world that's going to tell you the full game plan. There's no coach in the world that's going to tell you exactly what's on their mind. It just doesn't happen that way. And it's funny because Tomlin seemed a little agitated in this press conference as he said about 2 or 3 questions. As we've said before numerous times, and he goes into his Because, yeah, man, some of these guys ask some of the same questions over and over and over and over. I mean, this is your career. You do this each and every week and you get the same answer. You would think some of these guys would be a little more creative or build some type of bond where they can get him to speak a little more. Just a side story really quick, out for the Steelers. You guys, some of you guys know me from my gaming thing and, with EA and when I used to go to EA Play and E3 and I would interview the Madden devs. And a lot of people used to look forward to that interview that I had with Rex Dixon because they knew that I could get Rex to talk. I would ask the right questions to get him to talk and say some things that maybe, he shouldn't always say, but we had that rapport and I knew what questions to ask to get him to talk. So bring it back to the Steelers. I just wish there were some different reporters that could be in that building. Hey, I'm always going to campaign for the Steelers Depot guys. I just wish, because some of those guys are in-house and, shout outs to Mike Pursuta. No knock on him. I like Mike Pursuta. I like what he does for Steelers.com and all of that, and Missy Matthews and all of them. And I think Brooke Pryor is in there a lot. But some of these people ask the same questions the same way and they're going to get the same result. But even if they asked it a little bit different, there's some things coaches are not going to tell you. So that's a roundabout way of me telling you guys, we didn't get a whole lot of information from Tomlin's presser. He did talk about a couple things that I want to address. He definitely talked about some of the guys coming off of IR, starting the 21-day process. So that's key. He talked about James Daniel and not James Daniel, Anthony McFarland and Deontay Johnson, which is huge because they have a 21-day time frame to determine when they're going to bring them back and what have you. He said what he always says, he'll let their participation, I can't talk. He'll let the participation be the guide as far as what they're going to do with them, whether they're going to play or when they will play. So, keep your eyes out on that. But that is definitely good news in terms of another threat, a real threat on offense. No disrespect to George Pickens, and we all know we're still waiting for George Pickens to get it going, if so to speak. But very good news, man, to have a guy like Deontay Johnson potentially get back in the fold. As I interrupt myself here, I got to give a round of applause to Deshaun Davis. Appreciate that donation. Okay. Wow, okay, some of you guys are showing your vitriol for Mike Tomlin. Deshaun says, I'm sick of Mike Tomlin. Bradshaw was right about him. Now, I will say this. Everyone's opinion is everyone's opinion. Y'all, again, I say it repeatedly. I'm not going to challenge your opinion, but I'm not going to say Terry Bradshaw was right. Terry Bradshaw called the man a cheerleader. So that's where it ends for me. A cheerleader. Come on, man, stop playing. That's my opinion about him. He ain't nobody's cheerleader. Like it's me personally, I felt like there was a different slant to that comment, but I'm gonna just leave it at that. So I absolutely disagree with Terry Bradshaw in that regard. But as far as how you feel about Tomlin, that's fine. Shout outs to Gavin Carr. Gavin Carr says Tomlin's soft. See, I love it. I love opinions. Like, yay, he's entitled to that. And there could be reasons why Gavin feels that way. So, your opinion is your opinion. I'm never going to challenge that. Hey, Debbie, what's going on, Debbie? Again, another one of our lovely ladies in the chat. Make sure, fellas, you say hello to our lady conglomerate. We love them, man. They're very, very knowledgeable as well. For some of you who are new to this channel, these ladies know what they're talking about. They're all about the Steelers. They know football and very, 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 very intelligent. So make sure you say hello to them. And yeah, I agree, Debbie. That's very disrespectful, man. But again, we're going to leave that at that. I could go deeper into that, but we'll leave it there. So let's get into what Tomlin said. Again, he talked about Deontay Johnson. That's huge. He went as far as calling him the route runner. which, again, Tomlin doesn't always say so much, but he says a lot. If you just really use your third eye or third ear, if you will, and listen to what he's saying, he is basically saying what all of us have been saying, and I've been repeatedly saying. The reason why I fought for Deontay Johnson when a lot of you guys said he wasn't worth it, yada, 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 he sucks, and I'm like, no, it was just a down year last year with touchdowns. Nobody really had a lot. Deontay Johnson is an elite route runner. Elite. And Mike Tomlin just told you as much. There is nobody on that team, not too many people in the league that create separation the way Deontay Johnson does and consistently gets open against man-to-man coverage. Not many receivers you're going to find in the league. There is not a receiver on that team that runs the routes he runs and creates a separation the way he does and can win the one-on-one consistently. So having him back now that George Pickens has had somewhat of a breakout game in terms of yardage and taking the top off of the defense, et cetera, if you could get, I would like to see a combination of him, Calvin Austin, and Deontay on the field. Now we putting a little bit of threat on that opposing defense because you don't know where the ball is going. You got two speedsters and an elite route runner. Yeah, I would love that. Round of applause, man. We got another donation. The infamous Tim. Appreciate it. Infamous Tim is just giving his thoughts on Tomlin. He says, Mike had Mason a half game out from the playoffs. Yeah, man, like I said, everyone's opinion varies. I just think sometimes, I'll say this, for some people, not all, for some people who do not like Mike Tomlin, it's for very disrespectful reasoning. We'll say that. I think it's a fair critique for you to have your things and your warts towards him, because I have some as well. And it's fair for someone to say, man, I just don't like his style, blah, blah, blah. Fair. But I think some of the comments, man, that some people say, like Terry Bradshaw, it's just over the top, man. Like, come on, stop. Stop it. Let's get to it. What else did he say that was important? Injuries. Oh, here's one thing that Mike Tomlin said, and I'm going to preface this by saying this. I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite. I tell you guys each and every week that I try not to, and I do not base my opinions on speculation. Sometimes there's certain things that you can semi-speculate on, and I know we can all do that, but I'm talking about, I'm not going to speak in fact when it's speculation and I have no way of knowing. So let me preface this statement by saying that first. Here's one thing that I don't like about either Mike Tomlin or the Steeler way in terms of players. Why is it that there's always this, they must go through this introduction period, right? I understand it's ideal for a rookie to sit behind someone, yada, yada, yada. I get that. But why is it they just stick with this? It's the same reason why we can always guess the depth chart, preseason and all of that. Why do they always go through the same exact process when there's a person who was the starter? It's almost like the starter can't lose their job until a certain point in the season. And I understand it, but sometimes I feel like there's a caveat. And interrupt myself again, another round of applause to Deshaun Davis. Appreciate the donation. I knew this was going to come up. He says, Dotson is a top 5 guard by PFF grading. What changed? I could say very simply, maybe without knowing, because I haven't watched Dotson. Could be scheme, which is something we've all talked about. We've all said that maybe the offensive lineman is the issue. And I won't say issue. Maybe his scheme is an issue from some of these guys. I'm not the only one who said that. Even last year, we were saying some of these guys. I remember way back in the offseason when Alex Kozor, who was going to training camp each and every day last year, saying that, hey, I think it's taking time for some of these guys to get Pat Meyer's scheme down. Remember, he was saying it was a different scheme, the way they attacked the block and the zone blocking and all of that. And not all of the players fit in that scheme. So my short answer would be, could be scheme. I don't know. Dotson might be playing in a zone blocking scheme right now. I don't know. I'm just saying it could be that. Sometimes it's a change of scenery. Who knows? Like, none of us know, but we've seen this before with players from the Steelers. We've seen players come from other teams to us, and we get the best out of them. So those things are a little more tricky for me to give my opinion on and speak confidently to it, because, again, it would just be pure speculation. First thing people are always going to say is coaching. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, shoot, look at a guy like Joe Hayden. You know, Joe Hayden was on the end of his career, wasn't playing particularly well. He came with us and got some really good veteran years left with us. So I don't know how that stuff works, guys. I really don't. I really don't. That's something I just can't speculate on. And, you know, furthermore, y'all know where I stand with PFF anyway. No disrespect to them, but yeah, their grades are all over the place at all positions. That's just my opinion. Let's get back to what I was saying. I was talking about Tomlin and or the Steeler way, how they just stick with these guys. The question was asked to him, if Dan Moore is healthy, will Dan Moore get to go at left tackle? And I understand why you would get him back in the fold, but also there has to be a point when you draw a line in the sand and say, listen, Broderick Jones is our first round left tackle. Tomlin always says one man's misfortune is another man's fortune, right? He always preaches that. Unfortunately, Dan Moore was injured. Broderick Jones stepped in, didn't have as great a game in his first appearance, but he had a really solid game against the Ravens. Let this man play. That's just my opinion. Round of applause. Appreciate the donation, and thank you for that, Wes H. I think Tomlin is too comfortable with average. He says number 12 is a GOB, in my opinion. But I don't think Mike Tomlin is soft. I just think he needs better assistance than most. Okay. Then that's fair. That's a fair assessment. It's a fair assessment. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your donation. Yeah, man, I just let the boy play. Let him play. Like, again, no disrespect to Dan Moore, but this is your moment. This is your moment to let the first round tackle, dog, you know, go through his lumps now. Let him play. What you waiting for? Like, do you think Dan Moore is that much better than him? Maybe by a smidgen, but you understand what I'm saying? I think that you pull the trigger now. He's played 2 games in a row and played well against the Ravens. Let's flip it on the other side of the ball. He won't commit to Joey Porter Jr. as well. And I'm like, listen, I get it. I get that it's a process. Even at my own personal job, right? Way back when I started at my job, right? We used to put people through training for months and months and months and months and months and months at a time. But more recently, in the more recent years, we expedited that because some people that we would hire would come in and they showed the ability to do what they needed to do just like that. They showed that they was competent. They had the drive. They had everything that you want out of, you know, an employee. Professionalism, the critical thinking, all of the stuff that we require at my job. So some of these people, we expedited it, right? We also at one point went through a period where we weren't getting the best candidates. So we said, all right, you know what? Let's use a temp agency. So that way it's kind of a trial period. And through that last couple years, we've had some people show that they was worth it in 3 months. And you know what we do? We book them, Dano. Let's go ahead and bring them in and we'll sign them to a permanent position because they were ready. We didn't just stick into our old habits from yesteryear. Oh, let them be in training for X amount of... No. Let them go when they're ready. When someone shows that they got a little... Yeah, let them play. They're rookies. I know they're going to make mistakes, but that's got to happen at some point. That part I don't agree with. And like I said, that might be a Mike Tomlin sole decision. I don't agree with him with that. Or it might be Mike Tomlin along with that's how the organization, the Steelers way works. I don't agree with that anymore. And here's the funny part. Tomlin pulled the trigger early last year and got Kenny Pickett in the game at halftime against the Jets. That was week, 4? So last year he showed that he'd be quick to pull the trigger. But today, again, it could be smoke and mirrors. He could just be saying it. And then maybe come Sunday, we'll see these guys. But his answer today, I can only go off of his answer. It makes it seem like he said, we're going to give Dan Moore every opportunity. Man. And he wouldn't commit to Joy Porter. So I don't like it. I don't like it. I get the process. But listen, I can disagree with the coach and still like the person. I still like Tomlin as a coach. But I disagree with that philosophy. And there's a couple other things I disagree with the way he's handled certain situations and defensive calls and stuff like that. But overall, I already told you guys, I still think Mike Tomlin is a good coach. Great even at times, a good motivator. But I mean, this is the 17th year. So whatever happens from this point, it is what it is. I think that's probably all I got, man, outside of my main topic. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about Matt Canada, and I'm going to be very brief. And then I'm getting to the phone lines. Again, guys, phone lines, if you want to call in, man, please do so at 619-924-0818. Let's do a queue check right now to see how many we got. Right now, there's only 4 calls, so it's a good chance I get all of those in. If more and more you start calling in and there's a large number, I cannot guarantee I will answer them all. And again, if it gets to that point and you really, really, really want your call answered, drop a super chat in the chat with your area code and I will move you up the ladder if it gets to that point. Okay. Here's something I saw the entire bye week. Reporters, the football media, and the Steelers fans. Now, the football media, like the pundits, I'm not going to get on them as much because they got a job to do, all right? They're just reporting. The reporters, however, I will get on them a little more because they are always around the Steelers and they understand the Steelers organization. A lot of them have been reporting on the Steelers for X amount of years. I mean, numerous years. Now, you fans, I'm going to get on you guys the most. Because everyone kept asking the question, why are the Steelers not firing Matt Canada in the offseason? Y'all know the answer to that. It's not the Steelers way. Now, I don't know who has full autonomy on that, but let me tell you some things that I do know. And I said this a week or two ago, but I don't want to keep having this conversation, but y'all keep bringing it right in my lap. We know from way back when, even back to Art Rooney, the first Art Rooney, senior, but even to one that most of you guys are familiar with, Dan Rooney. We know their whole thing was family oriented. That was the Steelers way. And we know that they have not fired a head coach or a positional coordinator. We've never seen it. We've never seen it. So, like I asked in the title, I don't understand why you all continue to appear confused when something like the firing of Matt Canada doesn't happen in week 6 of the NFL season during the Steelers' bye? Now, you could have wishful thinking and say, man, I hope they change their philosophy. A lot of people are hoping that, and I ain't mad at you for saying, man, I hope to see something different. I'm just saying, to be like overly pissed off at your team and or the head coach. I mean, I've seen a lot of people putting it right on his head for not firing when this is something that they don't do. They simply don't do it. So how can you expect it and be pissed when you know they're not doing that? That's all I got. I don't understand that. What do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, this is what some of you are expecting every week. I told you, here's 2 things that you can hope for. Best that you can hope for is Matt Canada. His contract is not renewed after this season because this is his last season under contract. That's the best you can hope for. Let me tell you what else is the best thing you can hope for. Steelers don't renew Mike Tomlin's contract or extend him before the end of the 2024 season. So he'll be here the remainder of this season, as well as he'll be the coach for next season. Those are really the best you can hope for based off of the Steelers' track record. Now, if they pull an audible, nobody's going to complain. If they decide they want to fire Matt Canada at some point this season, whoa, didn't see that coming, but okay. If they decide that they're not going to bring Mike Tomlin back for next season, for whatever reason, whoa, didn't see that coming, but okay. And I keep it moving. I continue to cover the team. But to expect them to do something you have never seen them do is crazy to me. It's ludicrous. I'm sorry. I hate to talk about my family, but my people. It's ludicrous. That's all I got. That's all. And like I said about Matt Canada, man, this guy, again, my biggest issues with him, then I get to the phone calls. This guy's situational play calling is in the toilet. For the most part, this guy's route combinations in the toilet. He sticks to the script until the 4th quarter. I don't get it, man. I will say this too. Hold on, before I go. Some of it is execution. Mason Cole, woo. Mason Cole right now is looking like the worst offensive lineman. He's not the only problem, but he's a big problem. Some of those other guys are not, using their size the way I thought they would either. But then it brings into question, is it a lack of execution? Is it the scheme? Some of it is execution. Because there are too many times I've seen, dare I say this, it's too many times I've seen Mason Cole look like Kendrick Green. It's not pretty. The Steelers need a center. Yeah, put that high on your list of priorities going into the draft, folks, and or free agency. Woof. Oof, yeah. And there are some moments of execution that just not multiple people, even on the line. Herbig, even Siamalu at times. Multiple people. Oh, and God, don't even get me started on Freiermuth. And I'm not talking last week, but just watching previous film. Can't block nothing, man. So it's a combination, like I told you guys, and I really mean this. It's a combination of player execution, Matt Canada's play calling, situationally, and scheme-wise. And when I say scheme, just schematics, formation, personnel. And then there's times where Kenny Pickett is not playing well either. Kenny Pickett is literally playing up and down. He has some really solid moments, and then he has some below the line moments. He's inconsistent. So it's literally a combination of all those things. Just my opinion. Let's get to the phones, shall we? We get to the phones, and then we can get up out of here, man. Let's see what y'all got. We got 5 in the queue. First up, we have area code 443. You guys know the routine, man. Don't be lengthy, please. Try to keep your replies to 2 minutes or less. If we get to the 2 minute point, I may have to mute it because we just can't go on too long. And I have to keep saying that because I'm speaking to myself as well in my replies. But for the callers, I know a lot of you guys say, hey, I'm going to try to be quick. And then y'all just keep going and going and going. Can't have all these crazy phone calls, man. Because, again, I think big and I anticipate at some point I'm looking in here and there's 25 calls in the queue. All right, first up, area code 443. What you got for us?
What's good, Sim? Appreciate you taking my call, and what's good to all the ladies in the chat. To answer your question, why are we surprised about Canada? Not surprised, man. Just disappointed. Like you said, we all know the Steelers, so I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed. Anybody that know the Steelers knew it wasn't going to happen. What you need to be asking those in the chat is, why ain't nobody screaming about Brock Purdy this week in the chat? Yeah, everybody like to jump about Kenny and this, Kenny that. Why ain't nobody screaming Brock Purdy in the chat? So you can talk to them about that. The other thing is 2 issues with the Steelers real quick, man, is loyalty to a fault and versatility. I can't really get on the versatility part because I'm going to give you your time back, but I'll send you a message about that in more detail, man. And then the last thing is one of the callers asked about Kevin Dotson. Well, like you said, there could be multiple things with Kevin Dotson. Could be the scheme. One thing I would say about Kevin Dotson and the difference with him and the Rams is a fact is when he played for the Steelers, he played left guard. In college, he was a right guard. The Steelers moved him to left guard. Just because somebody played right guard don't mean they can play left guard. He didn't play left guard from what I found out in college. For the Rams, he's playing right guard, so maybe he's comfortable in the position that he's playing because he always played it, so therefore he's doing better. Appreciate the call, man. Have a good one.
Man, 443, I appreciate that call a lot. Man, you said a lot of things I agree with, but that point right there, and that just proves that I haven't watched the Rams at all. Maybe I'm gonna take a look at their last week game before I do the Steelers before I do the pregame show, so I can kind of see what they like to do. And I have seen a game or two of theirs. I just haven't paid attention to Dotson. But anyway, let me speed it up. That's an excellent point. And in the NFL, I mean, listen, from somebody who played football and obviously not at the NFL level, but you would think, oh man, if I could play strong side linebacker, I could play the weak side, or I could play the middle. It don't always work like that. And I've heard from numerous offensive linemen, even at the high school, college level, that was like, nah, man, that left tackle different than that right tackle. That right guard different than this. That playing that center position. You might have a good point there. And yes, when he was at, was it Louisiana Lafayette or something, whatever school that was, he absolutely was a right guard. Excellent point. Oh, and before I go, thank you, my brother, for bringing up that Brock Purdy. See, I wasn't going to dare say that. Because anytime I say stuff like that, y'all accuse me, oh, he's pampering Kenny Pickett. I've seen quite a few quarterbacks have bad games. Again, not comparing them to Kenny Pickett. I'm just saying, give Pickett time, right? And as far as Brock Purdy, listen, I've been saying it, man. Y'all been getting on me about it. I think Brock Purdy just plays well in the scheme. Brock Purdy doesn't show me anything to make me think he's a world beater. And that's not a hate or knock against him. He's playing great football. But you see what happened. He looked a little crazy out there when that defense was putting that heat on him. I'm just saying. Let's move on, shall we? Area code 704. What you got for us?
What's going on, Sim? I just got a couple of questions. Well, it's only like 2 questions. For number one, from what I understand, Tomlin didn't hire Canada. So So how can he fire him? And then the next part is going to be, if the O-line is not executing, the receivers are missing blocks, Kenny is missing open receivers, how can we expect Canada to run more complex plays if the offense have not even mastered the simple ones? Thanks for taking my call.
Man, you make a great point there. Listen, it all has to come together. I would just say that'll be my short answer. But my other answer reply to what he said. This is, again, guys, why I don't go so headstrong off of speculation. I, too, have heard what he said. I've heard it both ways. I've heard people say, or it's been reported that Tomlin has full autonomy on who he hires. And I've also heard that the AR2 puts his hand in the pot, as well as the GM, on who they hire and who they don't. I'm just saying, I don't know the answer. So my only point in saying that to you guys is I don't speak with full confidence when I'm giving my opinion if I don't have facts. I can say I think, but some of y'all be trying to say stuff like it's fact. How do you know? That's all I'm saying. I just don't live like that with anything. I stray away from speaking confidently about things I don't know. Area code 678. What you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Jim.
Yes,
I
sir.
haven't had a chance to call in a while. I just want to piggyback off of what you were saying a little bit there. I'm an old schooler, and the difference between now and when I was growing up, when I was a young kid, is there's podcasts. The opinions about coaches have always been there. My mom used to complain about Chuck Noll. As a matter of fact, at one time, Sports Illustrated had Don Shula, Chuck Noll, and Tom Landry on the cover saying that them young men had lost it. If you are still a fan, you know that Chuck Noll didn't have a good team from 81 until 1988. And we've always had a team. I wonder what the podcast would be saying about Bill Cowher 2004. We needed to win every game to go to the Super Bowl. If we didn't win one game, we wouldn't have went to the Super Bowl. What would be your opinion about Bill Cowher? And what a lot of people were saying just wasn't no podcast. Cowher power is not working. I used to go to the club with Eric Pegram. Eric Pegram used to be complaining about Cowher himself, and he was a player. All that getting up in people's face, they didn't really like it. The difference is there was no podcast. Now you got a podcast, people complain about Tomlin. The Steelers fans are complaining about all the coaches because why? The name always get brought up in podcasts. We're spoiled. What else? We're emotional. We, just like Yankee fans, expect championships every year. We don't believe in rebuilding. It's like, once again, going back to the 80s. If there was a podcast, and I'll leave with this one. If there was a podcast when Terry Bradshaw was going through his troubles, people would be talking about, start, what's that quarterback's name? Gillum. You know, that was a big controversy. You did no podcast, but that was a big controversy when I was a young kid. Who should play, Gillum or Terry? And you've seen sometimes Terry played well, sometimes he didn't. And the difference between now, we're going through it again. We lost Big Ben. We got a rookie quarterback. The difference between Terry and Kenny is that this podcast, and Steelers fans always will have opinions because we're spoiled and emotional. There's three people that I wanted to get rid of. Ben Roethlisberger is one of them. He was disrespecting our shield with all those rape accusations. I wanted him out of there. I wanted Sue and the center that we got. Help me out, Tim. The center that we got, the one that was with Ben Roethlisberger, to help Ben Roethlisberger.
Pouncey?
And his name. Pouncey, thank you. When I took too long trying to get that guy's name, and I lost my point. Never mind. I don't want to. But I wanted to get rid of. I wanted Sue, and I wanted Pouncey, and get rid of. Wichita used to get on my nerves. San Antonio Holmes used to get on my nerves. All that fumbling he used to do when we first got him used to make me sick. Get rid of him. And then I also said, don't re-sign James Harrison when he had that neck and that back problem. He went to Cincinnati. Well, all three of them guys helped us get a Super Bowl ring against Arizona. Now, if the Steelers owners listen to the fans, we probably wouldn't have 6 rings because we be talking about getting rid of everybody all the time. They got a formula that equals 6 rings. The only thing the only thing the Rooney's need from us is to continue doing what we do. Buy those terrible towels and them tickets. You want Tomlin gone? Stop going to the game. Stop watching the TV. Stop buying merchandise. That might be the only way you get them up out of there. Other than that, they're going to be loyal to him. His record, he don't have no losing season. He got 2 coaches that got 5.
Got to cut it right there, man. And no disrespect. I got to move on to the next call. But I know you still can hear me. Beautiful call. So I'm going to give you a round of applause. Round of applause. And I will just say this. I know it's hard, guys, because I could do it too, but we got to keep them shorter. But I want to hang on your points. Man, you are absolutely correct. Podcasts and media, social media, that's what it is. Everyone has an opinion. And I even put myself in that. But I tell my wife this all the time. If I could tell her to come down here and she'd be like, he does say that all the time. Too many opinions about everything. You open your phone and you see somebody got an opinion about this, an opinion about that. Oh, they talking about Beyonce. Oh, they talking about Rihanna. Why does everybody has an opinion and people speak as if what they're saying is the gospel? That is the problem today. You're right. That's it. That's it. Because for every person that is complaining, there's thousands more that are happy with the coach. So that's why I try to deprogram myself away from all of that and just be like, look, man, you can have your opinion. I'm not going to argue. But he's absolutely right. Thank you, 678, man. Excellent call. And yes, you're right. I've heard that from fans that are older than me that was watching during them days. And they always remind me, look, man, Chuck Noll gave us them Super Bowls, of course. But we talking about the 70s. In the 80s, boy, we were slumming. So he's right. Let's move on to the next one. Area code 434. What you got for us?
Hello? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Got me?
Yep.
This is Deshaun Davis.
Oh, what's going on, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Oh, yeah, I just had this to say. First of all, I want to say Purdy right now, he's like 10 times the quarterback Kenny Pickett is. Just on his ability to read the field, his accuracy, and his pocket awareness. I would say if we had Purdy right now in this offense, I think we'd be able to put up at least 25 points a game, just from seeing what he's doing right now in San Francisco with our weapons, And Kenny Pickett, I saw this shit today on the Pittsburgh media, that Kenny Pickett is being compared to Tim Tebow, just because, Tim Tebow, he was bad for 3 quarters, and in the 4th quarter, miraculously, he'll bring you back, lead a game-winning drive, and you'll forget about the 3 quarters. But he was bad in those 3 quarters, and Kenny Pickett's starting to look like the same way. I think he's better than Tim Tebow. He's better. He's a better player, but Kenny Pickett's been bad the 3 quarters, and in the 4th quarter, miraculously, he'll either lead the game-winning drive or not. So that's how I'm looking right now for Kenny Pickett. And Mike Tomlin, I just gotta say this: he just been there too long. 17 years is too long. He's too loyal to some of these low-level players. If he's crazy, he's gonna play Dan Moore over Broderick Jones. How in the world is Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson playing over Jordy Porter Jr.? It doesn't even make sense. Somebody brought up Kevin Dotson, that he's playing on the right side. Kevin Dotson was drafted by the Steelers. They had Trey Turner, a vet, starting on the left side, a 1-year deal. Why would we do that when we just drafted a rookie on the left side? On the right side. That don't even make sense to start Trey Turner on the left. And he wasn't even that good that year. So, we ended up getting rid of. He ended up not even starting the rest of the year in a couple of games. So but yeah, Mike Tomlin, he's just too loyal to a fault. He's supposed to be a defensive coach. I don't really see it too much. We got some great players on our defense, but the scheme, too much zone. We don't run enough man. I just got to see a change in there. So thanks for taking my call, and I love the show.
Man, I appreciate the call, man, and I love your opinions as well, Deshaun, man. I love the fact that you called and you say what you feel, and regardless of what anyone else thinks. And to me, that's what the show is all about. We don't have to agree. I love hearing different perspectives. The only thing that I would push back on a little bit, as far as my opinion, I don't think Brock Purdy would have the same success right now if they switch places. It's possible that Kenny Pickett would have the same success as Purdy at San Fran, but I do not believe that Brock Purdy would have the same success with this current scheme with Matt Canada and that offensive line. Because here's the difference. With the Steelers scheme, it's predicated off of the run. Steelers haven't really been able to get the run going because we do very basic runs. We keep just running into the wall, and then all of a sudden, Matt Canada wakes up a little bit in the second half, and he tries to run different ways with different blocking schemes and such. And those route combinations. That's the main reason why Brock Purdy wouldn't be as successful. Kyle Shanahan absolutely schemes for his strengths. Think about how many times you've seen Brock Purdy throw passes to guys who are wide open. I mean, butt naked open. Occasionally, he'll make a nice throw here and there, right? He hasn't been asked to push the ball deep down the field. Again, I'm not knocking Brock Purdy. I asked you to do a job and you're doing it well. I can't be mad at that. But I don't see any evidence at all to make me think Purdy would come into this current scheme as constructed and completely outperform Kenny Pickett. Maybe, but not head and shoulders, man. It's not like, no. I don't know. I don't agree with that part. But other than that, I respect the opinion, man. I really do. I really do. I will say, I'm trying to just gravitate to what I see Purdy do a little better. I will say, Purdy probably anticipates to throw a little better than Kenny currently. I would probably say that. It's hard for me to say that Brock reads the field. Again, I haven't watched him a ton, but I'm just thinking about against us. The guys are so wide open. Think about, there was sometimes he was just watching Brandon Ayuk. He won't read nothing. You know what he read? Okay, I think I see what the Steelers are doing. And Ayuk is wide open. I think of some of them play actions that they run to Kittle. I mean, nobody around this dude for 15 yards. So that's what I'm saying. I haven't necessarily seen Purdy put in situations where he has to win the game with the money throw. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm spending too much time on it, but to me, I feel like guys and this ain't fair, but guys like Patrick Mahomes probably can win anywhere because he just has that ability. I think at times Josh Allen can do that at times, but Josh Allen gets crazy sometimes. But Josh Allen would make these off-platform type of throws and stuff that very few people, if any, can do it. That's pure quarterback talent. And that's all I'm saying. I just don't think Purdy is what everyone is saying. Oh, he's elite. No, he's not. He hasn't shown me where he had to be elite. I think he's solid. He just got his first loss, but again, I think they're pumping that kid up a little too much. But yeah, I don't think he would be as successful under Matt Canada. All right, 2 more calls, man. Area code 951. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, Sim? Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Just 2 points. The first one is I don't know how you guys feel, how you feel about the matchup this Sunday with our secondary, specifically on defense, against the receivers that they're going to go up against on the Rams. And I don't mean specifically just personnel-wise. I think more so mathematics. Sean McVay against Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin. If that pass rush doesn't get there, we might be in trouble. I'm a little worried about that matchup. The second thing is, man, when it comes to Kenny Pickett, real quick, specifically Steelers fans, I don't know how much time. Do we have a time limit on players, specifically Kenny Pickett, on he needs to be this kind of quarterback this year right away? I get it. What we've seen the second part of last year was promising. Obviously, preseason was promising, even though it's preseason compared to what he's doing now. It doesn't look too good as we speak. But I don't know. Are we going to allow him time to grow? Are we going to allow time for the Steelers to really get this offense going, get Matt Canada out of there, and get somebody else in there who can help him grow? Steelers fans are so quick to throw him out, compare him to, trash quarterbacks. And I'm just seeing all kinds of stuff on the league out there on social media and on some of these news outlets that he's not the guy. And I'm like, we weren't saying that the last, 6 or 5 games last season. I know we weren't saying he was a Pat Mahomes, but we weren't saying he wasn't the guy. And now all of a sudden we're saying that he's not. So I don't get it, man. That's all I got. Thanks.
Man, I'm 100% with you. I think the misconception amongst us fans is that if some of us want to say give him a little more time, other fans feel like we're caping for him. I don't understand it. Like, I don't get as a fan base, and let's just say as a family here on this show, why is there so much? Why can't we just say, no, I'm willing to give him a chance? And then the other guy can say, man, I don't think he's it. And that's it. It shouldn't be this debate. I don't know why we do that. And like my man just said, like, you guys we are so emotional as fans. Like, it's like you're week to week. Like, your opinion of a person is fluid. Really. They have a good game, you mute up, you don't say nothing. Soon as they have a semi-bad game, oh, he's the worst quarterback. Like, come on, man. Like I said, I have no idea. I wish I had a crystal ball I could rub and tell you what Kenny is going to be. I don't know. I'm just saying, I have seen Kenny Pickett play decent. Last 4 games of the season last year showed me something. How he looked in preseason showed me something. That's why I was disappointed, because it looked like he regressed from the end of last season and preseason into the beginning of this season. And I know, like I said, part of it is scheme, but Kenny has missed some wide open throws. My number one question still is, as I watched them all 22, there's some play designs I really feel like it's designed for him to only look one way. Because if you just look to the other side, dudes is open. I wish I knew the answer to that. Is that the scheme, or is that just Kenny not reading the field, or is that just Kenny locking in from the word go? I wish I knew, because that is an issue. I've also seen Kenny this year make some throws, and I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? The touchdown throw to Calvin Austin, right on the money. The touchdown to George Pickens, right on the money. Like I said, to me, Kenny right now is inconsistent. I'll say that. He's inconsistent, and there's some areas of his game that he needs to fix. But I'll still give him some time and see if he corrects it. Because I don't think the Steelers are going after another QB at the end of this draft this season, guys. I don't. So that's why I'm saying it's going to be a waiting game anyway. I think Kenny Pickett gets at least to his 3rd year, and if he doesn't pan out in year 3, then you might see them draft a quarterback. I think it's 864 is the next one. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, Sam?
Hey, what's going on?
I can't call it. I just want to just I'm gonna be very brief with this. I just want to run this by you. Like Calvin Dotson right now, they saying he's grading up as one of the top guards in the NFL. You have Green that went to Texas. And they saying now I didn't see the game the Steelers played, but they said he was playing a pretty good game until he got hurt. And the guard that we got from Chicago, number 78, I can't think of his name, he was the top guard in the free agency that year. And he come to Pittsburgh. And it seemed like he's gotten sorry, you know?
Yep.
It just seemed like the players that Pittsburgh let go, like Spillane and all these guys, Marlette, they making plays with these other teams. And it seems like other teams can take our talent and do better with them. Do you think coaching up, these players is a problem? Or do you think that, these players just like Mason Cole, the blocks that he's missing and loafing around? Don't you think coaching up could correct that? But that's all I got, bro. That's all I got to say. Pete, have a good day.
Oh, yeah, you do the same, man. Thanks for the call. I think you make a valid point. I think we do have to look at two things: the ability to coach up and also scheme. Reason why I say that, man, is because we've seen it both ways. We've seen the Steelers get players from other teams, and they play better with us. We've also seen our players leave it. So even though I can't prove it, I believe specifically with the offensive line, it's got to be a scheme thing, because I don't believe guys just forget how to block. Siamalu seemed like he handled himself and represented himself very well last year with Philly. Not so much with us. And it's not saying he's been horrible, but I haven't seen those moments on film when I'm like, ooh, that block, or ooh, he sealed that. I haven't really seen that. I've seen him execute here and there, but I haven't really seen him dominate. So again, I just remember going back to the beginning of last offseason, last training camp, not this year. I remember Alex Kazur saying Pat Meyer's scheme is different and guys were having trouble. That could be the answer right there. I hung on to that because when he said that, I was like, that's interesting. Let me watch. And remember, all year last year, the offensive line ain't looking good. And then all of a sudden, the last 5 games, they come around. It might be some credence to that. More so than coaching. And I would say this about Marlette and Spillane. I don't think they're making many more plays than we have seen them make with us. Spillane had a game where he got a couple picks, but he got a pick 6 with us against the Ravens. Spillane, to me, is playing like Spillane. Marlette, on the other hand, just this past Sunday, he got 2 penalties back-to-back. Same thing he did with the Steelers. But I get your point. Absolutely. All right, man, last call of the night. We're going to end with area code 570. What you got for us?
Hey, how you doing? This is Wes H. So I got 3 points to make. Okay. Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to talk about the Brock Purdy thing. It's actually a point piggybacking off what you just said, what the last caller said. Here's the thing, right? So you think about all the college football players every year that graduate and come to 300 of them get drafted, right? Every one of them play in one system their whole college career. They don't go out and learn every single system, right? So every single player, we talk about Brock Purdy being a system guy, like he's probably good in that system. I think you can say that about every single NFL player outside of the really elite ones. Like you said, Patrick Mahomes can probably go to any offense and win games. You can't say that about most players. You can't. You just can't. So, like he said about Mollett, well, that makes sense. He's probably good in the Ravens scheme. The problem with scheme players, or schemes in general, system players, is when the system is bad, it typically doesn't matter how good the player is. Yeah. And I think that's a problem in Pittsburgh. Point you just made about the coaching. Think about how many assistant coaching changes we've had over the last 4 or 5 years. That's where I think our inconsistencies coming from. Another point I want to make is I think people forget that, I have my own issues with Kenny Pickett. I don't think he goes through his progressions. He leaves the clean pocket too quickly.
Oh, yeah.
That. But I think people forget that when Ben Roethlisberger was drafted and he ended up having to come in as a rookie for Tommy Maddox, He had one of the best offenses and arguably the best defense since the 1970s in the NFL. He wasn't that good in his first couple of seasons. He really wasn't. He had a great running back. He had Hines Ward. He had all these great offensive linemen. He had an elite defense. So when it comes to how long do we give Kenny, I think you're right. It's a 3-year mark. If you're not starting to see an improvement on these things, I think it's time to pull the plug. And then my last point, I'm among the fire Canada crowd, don't get me wrong. But what's really going to change from that, right? Because you can't bring an offensive coordinator in week 7 and install a new offense. So let's say you fire Canada and you bring in a new offensive coordinator. Well, the only thing that changes is the name that's listed in the offensive coordinator, because you're still going to use Canada's offense.
Right.
So at the end of the day, nothing really changes. Love the show. Thanks for taking the call.
Man, Wes, I'm going to give you a round of applause, man. I really appreciate the call, number one. So let's do that. Man, really appreciate the call. And the reason why I gave you a round of applause is because I think you hit on some excellent points. And I think you're a first-time caller, man. So I really appreciate it. Appreciate you, and thank you for the the kind words saying that you like the show, man. That's what I do it for. Is for you guys, man. Y'all and gals, y'all keep me going. But yes, man. Yes to all of that. I think people do forget that. Listen, Ben Roethlisberger was uber talented. He had that raw talent in him, but it wasn't like he was a world beater, or he had to be. Yeah, we had all those wins, and Ben would chuck that ball down the field. He would play Ben ball, so there was a little bit of Mahomes in him, like just raw talent. But when you got that deep, do y'all remember those days remember them stats we used to have if the Steelers were up in the fourth quarter, the game was over? And it wasn't a whole lot of games where we put up all of these points. And then over the years, Ben got fantastic. Right? But, and again, and I think to Wes's point, nobody is comparing Kenny to any of these people. We're just saying, Steeler fans, you're too quick to pull the trigger sometimes. Think about some of those other teams, right? Think about some of those other teams that we see in the NFL that has switched quarterbacks year after year after year after year after year. What has that got them? What has that got them? Think about some of those teams who switch coaches year after year after year after second year, third year. What has it got them? I'm just saying sometimes you gotta let things develop. I agree with some of you guys, of course. 17 years is a long time. So that's why I said, even as someone who likes Mike Tomlin, I am not gonna cry if the Steelers move on after his last contract, because yeah, man, sometimes change is necessary. But with the quarterback, you got to stick with it. You're not always going to hit lightning in the bottle. And I think, like what Wes said, the same as I said, the 3-year mark is probably it. Because here's the thing. The same stuff that I said I don't like about Kenny Pickett, Wes said it. Bells on the pocket. Way too early at times. And sometimes he hangs in there, but there's other times where he's leaving a clean pocket. The play he got hurt on, when he hurt his knee, pocket was clean. He bails out for no reason. So little things like that and him not really surveying the field, those things will show itself. So what I'm saying is, if come 2024 and he's still doing that, something that he showed in year 1, now in year 2 as the overall starter, like the bona fide starter. And if in year 3 he still is doing that, then you pull the plug. But you have to identify the things that he does and the things that you can say, I think he can improve here. Those are things that I think you can improve on. The question is, will he? That's the question. So That's all I got, man. I'm going to spend a few seconds in here, a few minutes, and see what y'all got. Give me a couple thoughts, comments, concerns, what have you, and then I'll wrap this thing up. I did want to say real quick, one of the callers said that they don't like the matchup against the Rams. I do not either. I'll talk about that a little more when I do the before play video. But listen, man, guys like Puka Nacua scare me. He didn't do much this past weekend, but he's been terrorizing. And not only because he's been doing good, but I'm just talking about specifically against the Steelers and how we've been having trouble defending guys. I'm scared of that. I'm scared of Nacua. Of course, you got to watch out for Cooper Kupp. And then that other guy that's throwing him the ball, number 9, Matthew Stafford. Y'all remember how the last time we played Detroit, when how he was nicing us up? Remember how he was completing them whole shots against the cover 2? Like, Matthew Stafford can turn into big time Matt whenever he wants. I'm a little nervous. Steelers haven't been able to run the football consistently. Steelers are having trouble with guys like Mason Cole. Do y'all know who's going to be lined up against him quite often in that game? The guy that was born, it's from Pittsburgh. Y'all know who I'm talking about? Yeah. The bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer as a D tackle. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? That scares me. That scares me. I'm just saying. Because it's like I say all the time, man. And shout outs to, father-in-law Leonard if he's in here. He texted me this week and he was like, man, like you always say any given Sunday, because he saw all of these teams losing to teams that you didn't expect them to lose to. Like the Niners. Cleveland with that solid defense, who we got to play again, by the way. It's a little different when you catch the team later when they get it going than week 2. The Eagles losing to the Jets. Nobody expects, but it's what I say all the time. It's about matchups. It don't matter if you're an 0-5 team sometimes. It's about matchups. And I just don't like the way we match up against the Rams in terms of Steelers unable to run, and you got a run stuffer and an Aaron Donald that can, because, we just run right up the middle all the time. That's where he going to be. And I don't like the way we've defended some of these receivers. And Nacua work in the middle, that ain't going to be good. Can the Steelers win? Perhaps, but is the offense going to score points? That's the question that we got every week. So we'll see. I was going to say, speaking of matchups and records, man, I've been saying it since the first game that they won. And I'm just going to talk really fast about Colorado and Coach Prime. They have no defense. And they let that team, what was Stanford? What was they, 1-4 or something like that? Came in there and did what they did, dog. 29-0 at halftime. And see, here's the funny thing. So I wonder how many people said that Coach Prime wasn't a good coach because of how they lost that game, completely negating everything else that he's done up to that point and bringing a 1-11 team already with 4 wins. But the problem with that team, they got no defense. Every game they've been in this year, pretty much everyone has scored 30 or more points. Even the game against Arizona State, it was close to 30. And I respect the fact that Coach Prime said he need about 7 or 8 more dogs. He know. He ain't gonna say it, but he know. He know. That defense is horrible. Oh wow, okay. Gavin said he's not a good coach. Okay, all right. So that's why I don't get into people's opinions, because listen, say what you want, but okay, I'll let the chat handle that. I mean, you go to a Jackson State, which HBCU that has done nothing, and you go to the championship 2 consecutive years and you win it 1 year. It ain't like, I'm just saying. You go to Colorado and you beat TCU, and I mean, okay, but whatever. I'll let everybody's opinion be their opinion. Let's move on. Give me a couple more things, guys, in regards to the Steelers, and then I'll get out of here. Like I said, y'all can argue the opinions. I see Gavin is sticking with that. I respect you for sticking with it, but yeah, I'm not going to agree with that one. I'm not going to agree with that one. But shout outs to you, though. Whoa. Leonard Green? Okay. Tell them how you really feel. Come on, guys. Give me some more Steelers comments so I can wrap it up. Y'all said guess Desmond King just didn't fit. We cut Desmond King? Really? What? Wow. Okay. That's interesting. See, what's very interesting about that is what do we not see? What are we not privy to? Desmond King, if I recall, he hasn't played a defensive snap at slot, has he? Or did he play again in the Ravens game? I can't remember, to be honest. I can't remember. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember if he had many defensive snaps. I think it was more Sullivan out there. But that is interesting. If we're cutting him, somebody said we're cutting him. I didn't know that. Wow. What else y'all got, man? Give me a few more. Couple more, guys, and then we'll get out of here. I don't see nothing else in the chat. I'll wait a few seconds. Let me make sure the chat didn't freeze on me. Let me see. I think it froze on me, guys. Hold on. Let me look at it on the phone. Yeah, I think it froze on me. Some of y'all are saying he's injury prone. So he was injured? Okay. Interesting. Oh, here we go. Y'all back. Kenny will look better with Deontay. Yep, I believe so. What else y'all got? Watt is the best edge rusher in the NFL. Parsons and Garrett can kiss it. Oh, speaking of which, y'all would never believe what happened last night. And speaking of Michael Parsons, would y'all believe that I won my fantasy week against my father-in-law by 1 point? Guess what the score was? 57-56. Oh, this week killed me, man. I had a lot of people, a few people that was on the bye, and I'm currently 5-1. And because I've been winning, I haven't been able to catch any real good players on the waiver wire. I have never seen nothing like that. It literally came down to the last play where he had Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler as his guys going into the game. He needed 21 points. And he had Ferguson. I had nobody playing last night. So as the game goes on, it gets to a point where it is a 1 point game. Y'all remember that last pass to Keenan Allen on that last drive? Keenan Allen picks up 7 yards, which would have put him over 90 yards, which would have given my father-in-law 1 point. We would have tied, and then it goes to the bench. He clearly would have won. The Chargers elect to take the penalty because it was a defensive holding, made it 1st and 5. Then my boy Michael Parsons gets a sack, and then homeboy, my man Herbert, throws an interception right after that. And that's how I sneak away a win. 57-56. Can you imagine such low score and I get the dub by 1 point. It was hilarious. But all right, man, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. That's all I got. That's all I got. I shall be back to you guys with the Steelers before play versus the Los Angeles Rams, and I'll give you a little more analysis as far as what we're going to have to do to contain those guys, and, you know, both offensively and defensively, and there you have it. So I'm going to get out of here, but before I go, please do this, man. I mean, come on, man. There was 100+ people in here and nowhere near the amount of likes. Make sure you hit that like button if you like the content. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well as turn on your notifications. And yeah, please do that for me. It costs you nothing. Outside of that, hope you all have a great rest of the week. Stay safe. God bless. Good night. Like always, I thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Turbo Towel Tuesday. And I shall catch you in the next one. Peace.